Okay.
We're recorded? Okay.
It'll take a second, but. Okay.
Okay, so 7 p.m. February 13th, public hearing to remove 2 properties from the historic resource inventory list. I think I need a roll call on this because we'll be voting. So can I have a roll call?
On what? Are
Yes.
we voting?
Just get present. Who's present? Janice?
I'm here.
Daniel?
Yep.
Kathy Schofield.
And Lynn? Okay, so we do have
Audience.
enough people to vote.
Do you want a roll call, whoever's here?
It wouldn't.
Yes.
Share your name and
Kelly St. Ange. Paul St. Ange.
all
My
right.
daughter.
Are you sure?
Sure.
Okay.
Karen Bailey.
Oh, good. Hi,
Karen
Karen.
Bailey.
Lynn. Okay. So we will handle these matters first. And
Do you want to review Karen first? Because
yeah,
we
we'll
did-
review Karen first.
Yeah, because we've had a lot of back.
Do you
and
want to
forth.
come and sit up here, Karen? I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to.
I'm fine here.
You're fine there. That's perfect. You're good. You're good. Don't worry about it. So Karen was one of the people on the original list that asked to be removed. At that time, there was confusion over the meeting time and various other things. So we didn't actually review it. We just left it on the list. Following that, I had several discussions with her, and we went through all the detail on the property. My opinion, the house is built in 1945. It's a ranch. And after talking with Karen and going through different things, it was found to be not historically significant to the town. So my proposal would be on this that we actually allow removal of this property. Did anybody have any?
I have a clarification. It's a cape, not a.
It's a cape, I'm sorry. Brain dead.
That's okay.
So just because I'm curious, so do we know, does it have like a more modern block foundation and all that, or we didn't? It's just
I don't know that we had that.
nothing special.
Does it has
I'm
a
just-
concrete foundation or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Foundation.
yeah.
Yes, it
And the
does.
whole of the interior has been completely modernized, so,
And the exterior.
and yeah.
So
What was the address?
It's number 62 Uxbridge Road.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Anybody have any comments?
I do not. I would be in agreement that.
Okay. Dan?
I'm fine with that.
Janice? Are you okay with removing from the list? Okay.
All right, so I will make a motion to remove street address
62.
62 Uxbridge Road.
62 Uxbridge Road.
Yep.
From the
Can I have a
historic
second?
inventory list.
Second.
Okay, so Janice?
Yes.
Lynn, aye. Dan, aye.
Aye.
And Kathy?
Aye.
Okay, motion is carried. The property will be removed from the list. You're welcome.
Thank you. Karen, one of the things that we talked about with regard to the houses that are being, that have the potential to be demolished is that what we try to do with every house is to do a photographic record of the homes just for historical purposes. So if you would be willing to either send us some photographs or allow somebody to come out and do some photography.
The interior.
Yeah.
And the exterior.
Yeah, and it
I
can
would
be,
have no problem with that.
Okay.
I'm good at photographing, so I could do that.
great. And if you can set it, if you can do one photograph that puts it in reference to the lake, that would be great.
I can do that.
Terrific. All right,
I
excellent.
just would like to say that just about every home on that side of the lake has been torn down and rebuilt.
Yep,
And I'm one of the only ones that hasn't, but I have redone my house almost completely,
yeah.
inside and out. So,
And originally, when they were built, they were not built to be four-season homes. I mean, they were just cottages for
but
summer enjoyment.
I do believe mine was four season when it was built.
Oh, was it really? Well, that's
45, yeah.
that's neat.
But I do appreciate everything, and if you don't mind, I'll leave.
No, thank you for your patience.
Save
Thank
the
you.
postage. I'll give you the letter now.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. Should I, how do I feel with those photographs?
If you have them, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, if you've got my number, why don't you just give me a call whenever, and I can always swing by and pick them up, and then we can put them in with our records that we have here.
Or can I email them?
Yeah. Absolutely.
You can just send them to that, either my address or that historical,
Yeah,
and we can,
we'll sort it out from there.
Thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
all right. This won't cooperate.
All right.
All right, and then the other one,
Yep, the second one is 53 Taft Ave,
correct.
and that's Mr. and Mrs. St. Ange.
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. Somehow yours got completely left off the list,
Fine.
but I'm glad this worked out. So I think, according to our records, it's the assessors, it's 1910.
Yep.
I don't believe there's anything on Macris for this. Is Kathy gonna check?
We did have something on that, and I didn't bring it with me.
I think you guys had
the
put some
list of-
comments.
Research that we did on this one. There wasn't anything, was there anything significant on this one, Kathy?
You know, my brain is not in this
Yeah,
moment yet.
I know.
I'm
Me
still-
either.
I'm still unwinding. So 53 Taft Ave, I just want to take a quick peek. And that will refresh my memory, perhaps.
I'm just double checking that.
I can't find my
Mendon,
record, my research.
Taft, 16 Taft, generic Taft, and that's it. What is this? That's the beach. Okay. So I don't see anything in Macris. Do you know, is it, again, what the foundation is? Is it a
It's
rubble?
block.
It is block, so it's,
a combination of concrete and cinder block.
yeah, but it's not rubble, like
No.
fieldstone, whatever, like the beach house or something.
The original home,
Hmm.
there's really nothing left of the original home. It originally had a wraparound porch. There's no porch left. It hasn't been for years and years.
Yeah,
We've lived there for 40 years. The inside is totally different. It's vinyl sided, it has a new entrance. There's really nothing architecturally significant. It was a summer place.
Yeah.
That over the years was pieced together and added on to the point where it is now. But there's nothing
so,
architecturally significant about this house.
It was probably 1989 or 1990, that the complete, basically I'd say 3/4 of downstairs was completely like torn off the house and completely redone with all new floors,
Yep.
supports. And that's when the rooms or the walls were kind of
There's really
moved
nothing
around.
left of it.
So
Yeah.
the original is, because they all had long, narrow rooms.
right,
and those
right.
are long gone.
Yeah. So may I ask you a question? Is there a particular reason that you want it removed from the historic resource list?
Not really, other than at some point, somebody might want to do something with it, not tear it down. I mean, we can't leave the footprint we're on.
Right,
Um,
right.
But it's not everything around us has been redone. We're kind of one of the last holdouts. We didn't need a bigger house. We wanted a more modern
Modern
house.
house inside.
But there's nothing, there's nothing there that's worth building onto, honestly.
That wasn't the house that George Washington was going to sleep in. That was the
I
cabin.
think he might have stopped in
Did
for
he
a
stop
for a
there
cup of tea.
His son had his prom picture taken on my deck, but that's as historical as it gets.
From my perspective, we have lost a lot of the cottages, and it's a dicey area because we haven't really historically completed the inventory around the lake, and there is a lot of changeover going on a regular basis. So, it's nice to see some of the original character, retained by some of the properties, because it carries, history with it. So we refer to the style that has come in a couple of times as eclectic cottage. So, a bump out here. Right, exactly. So, that being said, and one of the benefits of, having it on a historic inventory list is that for the community, it allows us an opportunity to stop, think about, can we lose it? How, how does it move forward? And, who knows what's going to happen in 10, 20 years. But it's kind of like a last opportunity for the town to retain something that is, in its own right, historic along the lake. So, we would encourage, people to, think about that as they move forward. We don't believe that this inventory list really has a strong, it doesn't strong arm these properties.
We have no intention of tearing the house down. If we did, we would have done it 40 years ago.
Right.
That's how long we've been living there. But I don't want to limit the possibilities for this lot.
Right.
We plan to keep it the same. We've invested in keeping it the same, but I don't want to limit this lot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't think it necessarily limits what can happen. It just gives whatever happens in, let's say, 15 years, somebody comes along, purchases it and says, we want to, we want to, demo it and, stay inside the same footprint, and we want to go up 5 stories. We'd never be 5 stories, but it gives the town the opportunity to say, wait, let's talk about it. Maybe we can move it. Maybe we can do this. Oh, believe me.
I just don't want to limit this property.
Yeah. All right, and you still feel that way?
I do.
Okay. All right, any other comments?
Janice, do you have any comment?
No.
No, Jan?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it looks like, as the previous person said, these are all kind of a similar status.
Yeah.
They've all been fairly extensively renovated at this point.
Okay. A motion?
I think I think we'd be likely to come to the same conclusion in a demo delay hearing proposing demolition of the property, that, I think you'd be really hard pressed to find a reason
not to.
fight to keep it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I guess I would move to remove it from the inventory.
Okay. Second? Janice, do you want to second that motion?
Oh, yeah, second.
Thank you. Okay. Vote. Kathy?
What?
I thought my brain was bad tonight. Yours is worse than
Oh,
mine.
trust me.
Okay.
Do you want to
We've had a
vote?
motion. We've had a motion to remove from the list. It's been seconded, so we will now vote. Kathy?
Aye.
Aye. Dan?
Aye.
Janice?
Yes.
Okay. Aye. Motion's carried. We will remove this property from the list.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
We're not tearing it down.
I know you're not.
No.
Okay, with those two properties, we can actually close the public hearing, correct?
Right.
So there's one person that reached out. I talked to him for next year. He's going to wait and apply on Hartford Ave East over there.
Okay.
And then I actually have a question, but I'll wait till we close the hearing, just about these properties.
Okay.
All right, so when can we bring our boats over?
Okay, public hearing.
Thanks.
Now
Thanks for
closed.
coming in.
Thank you.
I'm hesitant to ask, but I'm curious. Did we have a demo delay hearing for 49 Taft Avenue? Does that ring a bell? The house next to the beach?
No?
No.
Why, have they pulled it down?
That's years ago now. I just was thinking about these properties and, they were saying how it's been rented. So that house was basically completely rebuilt from the ground up, probably 10 years ago now. I wonder why that never,
Which one? The one
right next door,
right next to the beach.
used to be the Poxons.
The one right next door to the beach, not over the other side of the road.
The one look right on the left of the beach, yeah. I should look at the permit someday. It predates Viewpoint. I just was thinking, because really we only get involved in exterior demolition, but I could have sworn that they rebuilt the whole thing from the ground up.
They may have, I do remember one property where one wall on the interior was saved and that was not considered a full demolition. So that was very early in these stages.
I
And
see.
of course, we don't
Just,
approve
yeah.
of that. That doesn't fly anymore, so.
I mean, the good news with the new system, it's now the properties are just flagged. So I think any permit for 20 Main Street will get flagged.
Yeah.
As opposed to just a permit that they checked the demolition box.
Okay.
Because what's happening is I had to set it, there's a box for other, and stuff was slipping through. So now we're getting all the weather seal permits that are totally not our purview, but because it's other and we want to cover our bases.
So what happens when we have other properties that are significant in town that are, would be considered historic, where someone has gone along and literally rebuilt the house inside and made like major adjustments outside, but it's not come through us?
Well, I think going forwards, we need to determine whether the demo delay bylaw applies. In the past,
Inside or
Right.
outside.
it is what it is. I mean, it's pretty clear. Define the act of substantially or completely pulling down, destroying, removing, or raising a building or structure, commencing the work of complete or substantial destruction with the intent of completing the same. So that would be,
Interesting.
maybe something else to research in the future.
I don't want any more projects. I'm so done with more projects. Let's finish the ones we got.
Could we? That would be really nice.
I mean, it's pretty unlikely that, if either you're keeping the exterior walls or you're not, I think at that point it's a demolition versus just, redoing the kitchen or something.
Yeah, but I mean, what happens where you have like
So.
substantial changes?
Yeah, a good
sure.
example would be Cape Road. No, what is it? Not 6 Cape Road, which if you look at the before and after pictures, two completely different
Yeah.
houses. It's
Yeah.
now stuccoed and no trace of what used to
Okay.
exist there.
Mr. Goddard?
Yeah, I would push the bylaw to town council and give a specific example, saying, your understanding is that this would, because as he read the bylaw, it does speak to some absolute terms there,
Right.
but you don't want that to be the intent, right?
No.
That might be worth pushing town council just to say, our intent is this, we believe we're covered, can you confirm?
But yeah,
There might be some slight wordsmithing that would be not a project, but, something quick and easy.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And you know what, Dan, I also wanted to check and make sure I didn't go back and read the demolition delay bylaw with the updates, but there's no way at this stage of the game, at this end of this season of, reviewing, that anybody whose house did not raise a question is going to come to us next year and say, well, I didn't give a chance. I didn't respond. I didn't.
The way so it's designed that every year there's an opportunity for us to have an annual review. So we just did everyone a major courtesy by saying, hey, this is a new bylaw.
Yeah.
But at any point, a resident could say, gee, I want to remove my house from the list and follow the process. And it would, basically it's triggering a demo delay hearing early. I think at this point, there's one more that from our letter, he just waited too long. I don't think it's likely we'd see anymore because really at that point, you might as well just wait until you're ready to demolish the house. Because really, the only thing this affects is demolition.
Right.
You can change your windows, your roof, we have no say over any of that. Unless you're going to completely demolish the house, it doesn't involve us.
Right.
Which I think is what we struggled with through this process.
Yeah.
My fear is that it gets chaotic, there's.
Well, and,
Well, and I should add, there's a clause in here that it's a 2-year gap. So once we've reviewed something, they have to wait 2 whole years before they can come back.
Before we review it again.
So it can't become,
But, I mean,
Negative.
there is, it's like a lot of things. I mean, we have this list. What teeth does it actually have? If someone comes back and says, yeah, you know what, I'm on the list. I don't want to be on the list anymore. You can take me off and I'm going to demo my house. There's really, I mean, like you said, it's not really doing anything other than we just have a list of these properties now.
it's really the same as it was before. It just, the feedback, everybody came to us and said, there should be a list, there should be a list. So
Yeah.
now there's a list.
There's a list.
And your 1980s house, it's totally exempt from historic review, your garage, we have no say over that. And if you're buying an older house, it's clearly on the list, there's no ambiguity. Because I think that double hearing thing was confusing people where we had to have a meeting to decide if it was significant, if we wanted a hearing, and then we had to hold a hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just saying, look, if you want to tear down the house, you have to have a hearing. End of story.
Yep.
And people know what to expect.
Personally, I think it's still, it puts us in a very awkward position of trying to, regroup, and it may be perceived as a way of, circumventing the demolition delay bylaw. So, why do we do the list? If it just is a signal for people to get off, to, get around the demolition delay bylaw.
Well, every property that's come before us thus far, I think we would have come to the same conclusion. And we had a very old property that we basically said, absolutely not. It's an 18 whatever house.
Yeah, but at that stage of the game, they could still come back because they didn't finish the process.
Right.
So they could come back
Well,
next
they
year
can,
and say,
yeah. And I guess, I don't know. I think to me, it was a compromise to get these updates approved that were going nowhere. I mean, I guess if we're now having second thoughts, then we could certainly come up with a new draft.
I
I
Or
don't know
change
that
it.
I'm having a second thought. What I'm thinking is that there is no process to say once you're on it, you stay on it. There is that they can come back and ask to be removed. I mean,
Right,
Right.
right.
but
If you were not to have included them on the list, then they would be up for review regardless.
yeah.
So, and I guess that's the part that, worries me is that we could get a flood of, requests and people could keep coming back and, is it going to be, I mean, it just seemed obviously for me a little simpler in my head to say, okay, well, if the house is old enough and it has enough character, then we, execute demolition delay.
Yeah.
Review. And now it's like, well, you may, you may not, you may have, you have to review these and somebody,
Well, I guess,
Right.
but I feel like we did that though, because they're on this list. They're required to have the review. And when they come back to this commission, they're basically basically when those people come to us, they might as well be saying, I want to tear my house down tomorrow.
Right. 'Cause-
Do I need to wait 6 months or not?
Right.
And that's, it's,
Mike, you had a
you know.
comment?
Yeah, I really
I
thought
don't
the
know.
list just added a level of certainty to the community, saying, you don't have to worry about the demolition delay bylaw if you're not on this list. If you're on the list, expect one.
Right.
But that doesn't prevent and I'm looking for clarification, that doesn't prevent the homeowner from proceeding, they're on the list, they can still go forward with the demolition delay review.
They can still, well, I think by
If
applying
you're-
for any kind of demo permit, they're already on the list and that would be triggered.
Basically, yeah, if you're on the list, you are required to have a public hearing for
Right.
demolition
But your
delay.
list is probably static, in the sense that you're not gonna add to the list if it's complete, because you've already.
We could,
Well, no, but we,
But
we,
it would be not very likely.
Right.
At least not right now.
Question of, so to me, it's like, I like the list, because, and when you review them, you're not gonna review the list that you've already reviewed, because you have it on the list, you all believe it's on the list for a reason.
right.
So therefore, it's gonna stay on the list until somebody asks to be off the list, and even if you say no, they can still then go to the next step, right?
They can still then apply
I
for
mean-
demolition and then we have the
Like,
hearing,
This
yeah.
commission's heavy lifting is completed.
Well, initially, the list is just every house older than, more than 50 years old, which is a very, very broad category. So I certainly, there are properties on this list that have no business on this list, but we figured, let the homeowner do the work if they really think it should be removed.
Right.
We'll just leave it on the list and leave it alone.
And in the
I mean-
historic district too.
Right, and if you're in a historic district, you cannot be removed from the list. That's set in stone if you're in part of Macris, if you're part of the
Being in that-
National
being
Register.
in that historic district automatically would trigger.
Right, and
Delay.
that's a whole separate.
Right.
Right.
And we're not, again, not saying you can't demolish, just saying because you're in this district, there needs to be an extra level of scrutiny. I mean, I suppose we could get inundated with things. I think at this point, we should be
I think
pretty
most people are just, now it's
through them.
done.
I would not send
think
another
people are
round of
just gonna
letters.
forget about it. And the people that are going to want to demolish their property are going to come forward anyway.
So at this stage of the game, we don't have to reach out next year to everybody who did not
Oh,
respond.
no.
No.
Never. We didn't have to do that the first time. We just said we would as a
We
courtesy.
did as a courtesy to do it, but no, we don't, no.
And actually, I think this came up, we did it because we basically tacked everyone on there by age.
Now
Yeah.
I understand your concern. 'Cause I'm
Yeah.
sitting there going, Kathy, all your work is done.
Yeah,
Oh, no, there's 400 houses on the list. We
Right.
could, but
But even so, what you said is this is on the list. It's now up to the property owner to come forward and say, I don't want to be on the list. And I guess you might do some research, you might.
well, we might, there might be,
Say, yeah, you're right.
yeah, something that's come up. And then, down the road, if, we, in 5 years' time, say, well, we really now have got to update all those new houses that are around about 1950. That could be another way to, look at the list at that point, but
Yeah.
I do kind of feel
yeah.
the list is done, let's, put it in a drawer until someone comes up and wants to open it.
Put it in the win column. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's one that we just, off the project
All
list.
right, I will not panic anymore.
Please.
Nightmares, I can't guarantee.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Well, I
sure I
mean-
did have a nightmare about
And we were,
demolition.
we were also, not that we made lenient decisions, but we worked with those people. We
Yeah.
guided them through the process.
Yeah.
We very well could be a much more aggressive board and say, you come to us with reasons, or we don't, if you don't have plus minus in every one of these things, get out.
Right.
We vote no. We went way above and beyond
Well,
in this
yeah,
process.
I think
this
that
time.
we were realistic here.
And
And there were some houses where the owner said, I want to be off the list, and we said no. So, I mean, it wasn't like it was just I don't want to be on the list, all right, you can just get off.
Yeah.
It was,
Well, as you can see, as we've been, as we've conversed with people, people's idea, their criteria for whether or not it's historically significant is very different from what, let's say, the state defines.
Yep.
Or, so, it's like, how do you close that gap? Or do you even bother? And the other thing is, with every successive year, we're going to bring in more and more
More and more houses,
1950s
sure.
ranches. And
Yeah.
how do you argue that house is historically significant? Because then their point of comparison will be, well, it's not the 1840 town hall, and
Right.
no, it's not, but,
but But I think the other thing that this does do is it gives us time in those, you know, in that anything older than 50 years, I think that gives us time to do more research, to look more at, I mean, even, you know, like 1945 Cape. Yeah, it was a 1945 Cape, but they were all little 1945 cottage capes. So yeah, today we're not saying it's significant. You've ripped apart the inside. We're not saying, we're saying it's not significant now. In 5 or 10 years, if all of a sudden going through some stuff at the Historical Society, you come up with a plan that those particular properties were significant on the lake, and there was a reason for them, or whatever it happens to be, you can actually change. We haven't said if you're not on the list now, you're never going to be on it. But what we're saying is currently, right now, we are not, there are other things, other properties that are more significant to the town. But as we start losing more and more of those old properties, other properties are going to become more significant down the road.
Is the 50 years a sliding scale then? Because I thought you sort of.
No, we just did that initially.
No, we
but
did it
the
initially as a-
standard
yeah.
is 75 years.
Yeah.
So we actually cast a bit of a wider net because there were some that were kind of wishy-washy.
Reacting to it sounds like these capes might become, you're adding, I'm not sure why you'd be adding. But I figured the historical significance with anything prior to a certain year, you chose 50 years.
Well, you would think
I
that,
think-
but I mean, I'm thinking in terms of like those little cottages that have now become like all year round homes, at some point were all built together as like little summer cottages. If someone is doing work on, you know, the history of the lake and the significance of the lake, those little properties might all of a sudden be more significant than today that we think they are, you know. So in 10 years or so, we might say, wow, they are significant. We don't want to lose any of them. And then you would have to go about adding them on the list.
Well, I'm thinking too, like, and I think they already live in a historic house, like, you know, where the general lived. You know, that now really, that's a house that's associated with someone who was historic to the town and really to the state and the country. You know, if that weren't already historic, that might be something that you would then say that's a property that should be kept.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, are we going to at some point look at a house on Talbot Farm and say that's significant? Probably not very likely, but
Well,
maybe
no.
in 50 years, who knows?
You might not think it, but maybe in the next 20 years, somebody who lives in that house on
Right.
Talbot Farm Road could be significant in the history of the country or in the state, or, you know, because we're not just talking about age, we're talking about significance to the town. That could end up being, you know, the home of a president.
Right.
If the kid in there wants to be a president,
I mean-
who knows? But you don't know these things. And I think what you can't do is you can't make it so broad as to bring too much criticism in. But at the same time, you've got to say, just because the list we have now it's not exhaustive. You know, definitely 5 years down the road, it could be.
What was, your example resonated with me. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out how a house is going to be added and things like that.
Yep.
I would, maybe you could have a little, like a rubric around what historical significance means.
Mm-hmm.
And that way people can start to read and say, oh, I see. I'm not going to be president, but if I sell my house and somebody turns out to be president down the road, that becomes a.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I was struggling with it, sitting here listening.
Yeah.
Right, right.
I mean, you just don't know. And with any of these houses, that somebody who is living in it now and, well, we're never going to tear it down and we're never going to do anything, and it's got concrete blocks for the basement and everything, but you just have no idea what down the road that house could happen
Right.
to that house or the people in it.
I mean, you know, so I mean, we do have, you know, we've got the 4 criteria. So I think, you know, the decision is whether it meets those 4 criteria today, and maybe in 10 years it might
In 10 years
now
it
meet
might.
them.
Right.
But maybe, you know, maybe it's worth expanding on some of that a little bit, I think, or identifying, you know, potential properties of interest for sure.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something we can do. And, you know, all the research and the deed searches and everything that you did, there's nothing to stop us looking at some of the other houses that we think may have some kind of, you know, something down the road
Right.
that we can actually have that and have that prepared if it comes up.
Yeah.
I mean, rather than, it would be nice to be able to get in front of the ball instead of running behind it to know some of these properties. Because what happens is somebody comes up with a demo delay and before you know it, we're in a crunch where we've got to get the deed search done and we've got to do this and then we've got to fit in with times and public hearings, and be nice to be able to have that. I mean, I'm not saying we do it on every house, but it would be nice if now we've got this list. You know, it would be nice to actually come up with
saying
it.
no to that one. You can forget
So,
about
so
it.
Kathy's next project. All right,
Is to move out of town
okay.
as quickly as
Um,
possible.
So let's just plow on. Review and consider approving prior minutes. I'm sorry, I did not have a time to go through your minutes. I will. I don't know if you want, I'll just kind of abstain. Did you go through them, Dan?
I didn't read them, but I'm sure they're fine.
Well, I'm sure they are fine too.
not-
But
I
I don't
mean-
think that's what we say. They're fine.
I'm
Yeah.
not overly concerned about the minutes as long as, I
Yeah.
trust that Kathy took an accurate record of the meeting.
Oh, I
But if-
pretty much did, because I had to sit and watch one of them all over again, so fill in the gaps, you know?
Was it a good one?
No, it was horrible.
Boring?
Yeah.
About normal?
Very
okay?
boring.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so,
So, I mean, we have a choice. We can either accept or put off till the next meeting. I don't mind what you want to do.
yeah, let's wait till the next meeting.
Okay, because I've got those two others that haven't been done yet, but will be. All right, so we will approve meeting minutes at the next meeting. And then I think we should be up to date on all of our minutes and everything. I did send you round just the annual report thing, which I went away and completely forgot about. So I did that. If you want to have a look at it, and if you could just email me,
Well, yeah, we do need to get that to her
yeah,
ASAP.
if you could let me know,
You bet.
Looks fine
and
to
then I
me.
can get that over to her tomorrow. Janice, did you? I don't know if you saw. I sent you the 2022 annual report of the commission. Did you see it? Did you see it?
Janice.
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 Uh-oh.
She's chasing kittens around the house,
She
I'm sure.
probably is.
All right.
Just, you might want to check if,
I did answer.
Oh, sorry, we didn't hear you. So
No,
I
I
don't know
know.
if you had a chance to look at that. If there's any other comments or things you need to change in it, if you can have a quick look maybe tomorrow and get it back to me tomorrow, I can send it off to Laura.
Okay.
Okay.
just double check if she goes by Connie or Constance for formal.
I think it's Constance.
Because on the website, it's Constance, but I don't know if she has a preference on the official annual report
Okay,
that'll
I'll
be
figure it
preserved in all of
She's not on
perpetuity.
tonight, right?
No, could probably just send her a text and just double check.
I will do.
Um,
All right. Okay. Was that the review 2022 annual report? Was that what?
yeah,
Okay, all right. So old business. I obviously wasn't here for the records room project and grant proposal. I did see emails. What's the timeline on that, Kathy?
Pardon. I was not listening. My apologies.
I was talking and you weren't listening again.
I was checking out
Okay.
some stuff on.
I'm the one with COVID
I'm
brain, not you.
shopping on Amazon.
Oh, you are?
sorry.
Good for you.
No time for you.
Anything good?
No.
Oh, yeah, get me one.
Timeline on,
Records room. So, and the grant. Do we have?
well, March 18th is the deadline. And Armando knows that is our deadline.
Okay,
So I took Jake Auchincloss in to take a look at the records room.
oh,
okay.
nice.
We talked about water issues and,
Okay.
the challenges of trying to, survive without water and sewer.
Yep.
Oh, that's actually good to bring that up because that
Yeah.
ties into what's coming with this report for the water study and all that.
Right,
So maybe
right.
that'll
Well,
be
I
in
mean,
his
it's good
mind
for
that
them
this
to
is an issue for
see,
Mendon.
What's happening to some of these older properties
Mm-hmm.
that are just fieldstone foundations, and they're all pumping water out, so, that was really good, and they really, like everybody else, you walk in that little building and everybody falls in love with it.
I know,
It's
I told you I
see
want
It's
it.
worth saving,
Yeah.
so,
I will
So-
call Armando tomorrow.
Yeah, if you
And
could
chase him
just
up a little bit.
follow up and
Yeah.
make sure that he got my email and that he's, ready to roll.
Yep. That would be so nice to get that moving, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
he seemed like definitely the person for the job. He seemed to know what we were looking for and had a lot of ideas.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, I think he's eager. I think they're keen. They're kind of finding their niche in the historic
Yeah.
area.
And he really does. I mean, I asked him about the treatment he was recommending on the foundation, about spraying in the concrete. And I said, we got to really check with Mass Historic about that one because
Right.
I'm not sure. And he said, well, I did some homework. I didn't see anything, to indicate that you can't do that kind of treatment. So
Right.
that was good.
Good.
So he's really tuned in to,
Yeah,
um,
awesome.
to what we need. And I think one of the things that impressed me the most was that, he was not recommending that we just, replace the sill, remove the floor. He was just like, you replace the boards that need to be replaced.
Right.
You don't have a sill to work with. So we work on the, substructure and, we reinforce it. And he said, I can see it now. And when somebody says that they can see how this building will
Well,
evolve.
right.
I mean, it was very simple for him. And he said, I can go into a building and see how the new bathroom would work, how the foundation would work. And, I'm not going to touch the room with the safes in it, So he really did have this level of confidence that I thought was really, really good.
Good.
He was actually, I think, pretty adamant that you don't rip out that floor. Like that would be a mistake.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's like, we're going to support it from underneath.
Yeah.
We will slowly kind of get,
Once he's done with this, if we decide to go ahead with them or whatever, would it be worth taking him to Only Cook Shop too?
yeah. And I think we should actually take him up to the museum because the recommendation was that the floor needs to be supported up at the museum, up at the old museum,
Probably that was the same work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Take another look at that.
That would be good,
It's too
wouldn't it?
bad,
'Cause you
Dan,
said
that
it-
we didn't take him in there.
I know.
Because he could have seen what was done.
Well, one of these times when he comes out, we can just say, can you, we'll bill, and we can charge an extra hour to the historic account. And just
Yeah.
say, can you come up the street and just take a look at this
Yeah.
too?
Right.
Because that would be a good one if we have to fix the supports under there. I mean, that one
It'd be
seems
nice
to be
have
much better,
somebody
but
who understands. Sorry, Mike, yes.
Yeah, Kathy, do you get a chance to talk to this gentleman about Mike Mandelia's comments in the CPC meeting? About this is waterproofing on the inside he was doing,
Yes.
and Mike was like,
Waterproofing on the outside. Yep. So,
that'll come up again when the topic of funds come up.
oh,
He'll want an
absolutely, yeah.
answer.
well, you should definitely, because Mike knows what he's doing too,
Right.
so.
and I was going to ask you guys how you felt about rolling Mike into
I think it would be
the
wonderful.
project because,
He actually has to be involved, didn't he?
yeah, and I just think
I think
he
it would be
great
wonderful.
eyes.
He's very direct. He's very straight. He goes and if he doesn't know it, he goes and researches it and then comes back with
Yeah,
that. I think is like, because I know next to nothing about building. We're not engineers. We don't know what we're doing. I think it's to have somebody who just knows the questions to ask, I
Yeah.
think is important. So
Yeah.
maybe we could have Mike, if we can get this information from Armando, maybe we can have a meeting, separate records room meeting.
yeah, that would be great.
And ask Mike to come along.
Well, when Armando comes back out with his civil engineer,
Engineer.
it would be really nice maybe to invite Mike to come and,
I think that would be good, yeah.
talk about, some of the things that are in front of us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be a great idea.
And once we talk to Jane and David, we'll probably want to, we do want to approach the Bucchinos
Yeah,
about ground disturbances.
okay.
So, because it looks like they've got a new septic system going on there.
Keno does?
Yeah.
Well, it's new within the last few years. It was
Yeah.
installed. I could
So
look
we
it up,
just
but-
want to make sure we're not treading in on his property. We're not going to disturb anything that's on his
That's,
property.
yeah, okay.
So,
And so I'll talk to David. I'll give him a call tomorrow and see he's around, that I can
Yeah.
maybe go and have a little chat with him and see. Because it might change the whole location of where that septic field
Yeah.
would be. All right, I'll give David a call. Okay. All righty, sounds good. Town hall windows.
So, well, you were at the meeting, we met with Ryan.
Yes.
The impression I'm getting from an email I saw, I think that might be getting tabled until the fall. Ann was asking for people who needed money from CPA at the town meeting, and I thought there was an email from Kim saying she thought that might be holding off now. Maybe you know more?
Yeah, I suggest you actually put a placeholder
Okay.
out there. I did send an email, Kathy is from the CPC meeting.
Yeah.
It'll be a topic in Board of Selectmen meeting when we talk about warrant. So
Yeah.
if the information's there, that a ballpark, and we can put a request in. I mean, the thought was, why delay it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But I think there's a thought that they want to see what's left from the campus project, things like that, but I think those are separate. They're mutually exclusive. You don't
Yeah.
need to know what's left to go to, put the
Right.
money aside.
Yeah.
Well, and I
What-
think with other
See-
things that are happening within the town hall,
Well, CPA can pay for the windows and potentially restoring historic doors 100%. The work in the back hallway is not eligible. The work that Dan is doing,
I raised the question.
Could be.
By merging these projects, do we have any issues in the last select board meeting?
yeah.
The thought was no. That means somebody must know how to keep the funds separate.
we usually, like, with that project, they had a spreadsheet where they said, we could pay for 100% of the tank for this, like you take the whole project, if it's like a 70, and you apply that formula.
As long as that can be done.
Yeah,
But I thought, the thinking was why, I'd say artificially delay, why delay potentially starting sooner than later for the sake of a town meeting? So if you've got a ballpark of, you need, I don't know what the number is, like $100,000 from, it's gonna be in the ballpark of 100,000 for the window replacement, put it aside, and then you get started early, you don't need to wait for appropriation.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's sort of, I'll be voicing that sentiment in the select board meeting.
I just would like,
well, that,
I would just like to make sure that the projects are being, like, it's one big project split into sections that everybody knows what's going on, so that you don't have something where, you spend a ton of money doing all this thing out the back here, and then it's all got to be dug up for a ramp or a door at the side. Do you know, I like repeating work. So if we're doing windows here, is that going to affect anything potentially that you're going to do in the back as well? Because then what we don't want to do is just have windows done, and then all of a sudden, we need another 8 windows in the back, and someone's got to come back and repeat that work.
So I
Right.
think having a single architect design, the whole thing makes sense, but to your point, when you get to execution, can you subcontract to
Yeah.
multiple places, if that's the case? Because I think the windows are still potentially going to be a specialized company.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
That's where, to your point, you need to make sure everybody has their,
I mean,
Yeah.
you don't see the general contract, because you're making this thing so large now, you don't see the GC to
that was my
yeah.
takeaway from that meeting, was that the intent was that firm would kind of oversee all the
Thing,
work, and, they were going to bring on a historic consultant for the windows, come back with like options A, B, and C, and then I think oversee what had to be done. Because I mean, that's what we've learned with this town hall project. We really do not want to be the general contractor.
No.
It's a lot of work.
I heard in the last select board meeting something
Yeah.
along those lines,
yeah.
but I think communication's gonna be key, so all parties understand what's going on.
Well, and you
Yeah.
don't want to spend, X number of $100,000 on windows or doing anything on the back out here. And then all of a sudden, someone comes up with, well, we really should have done that at the same time. And it starts to become piecemeal, because that's what's happened in the past.
Right.
And if you're going to do it, do it. So everybody knows up front what it's going to
Right,
be,
yeah.
and everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing. But, all of a sudden it's kind of,
Right.
well, when we did that, we probably should have done this at the same time. Let's make sure that everybody has input, so everybody knows what's going on. And if there's a suggestion we should do something with that, area down there, and let it all get done at the same time
Yeah.
rather than.
Well, it breaks the confusion. It's like you watch this project fly because it is all under one umbrella and it
Yes,
is like
absolutely.
going like clockwork.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this is Windows is another place where CPC will have questions on, did we explore all options?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
so we need to float that in front of the design guy now to make
Yeah.
sure.
His expert's probably going to need to come to a meeting
So,
and answer some questions, is my guess. But I mean, I think, and to your point, I do sometimes, it would be nice to see if there was a way, like, I feel like the plan is not very clear and it's perhaps only known to a few people, and it seems to be like some work happens and then
Well, and if
something
it's-
doesn't happen,
yeah,
and
If
it's
it's a good
very
plan, If
nebulous.
it's a good plan, it gets
So,
done. I don't see
you
the
know-
problem with it. But what I'm saying is, all this work is being done downstairs
Right.
and not up here. And then we're going to do windows up here. Well, would it make sense if we're doing that downstairs to make any other changes like ceilings or, get the whole thing done? So you do it one time and
Right.
you're good.
I mean,
rather
Dan,
than-
he's going to restore that ceiling, I think, hopefully downstairs now. I mean, this needs to probably be repainted or cleaned up.
Yeah.
Some of this needs to just be at least stabilized, although it's not moving, but
Yeah, but, and that's what I'm
Right.
saying, at the moment, it's okay, but if you start pulling windows out and shifting things and doing everything, putting windows in and, there you go, well, in 3 months' time, and we're coming back and we're saying, well, we really need more money to stabilize this. Well, why didn't you do it at the same time?
right.
And if you've got, someone who is talented and knows what they're doing, let's put it all in one little basket so
Yeah.
that
well,
we
wasn't
know.
that,
Because I'm sure the town is going to get fed up with keep going back and saying, we need, 50,000 for this and 50,000 for that. Somebody at some point is going to be, how much is the whole thing costing and why aren't we doing it all in one cohesive hit,
I mean, you put too much in, there's a downside to speed of delivery, and things like painting, that's maintenance, that should be parked, you shouldn't put standard maintenance, like painting, in a
Yeah, if it's-
project like this, what I mean? Maybe
Yeah.
stable, I'm not sure.
if it's just paint.
If it's stabilizing
Just
it
paint
or
it.
something, yeah. But we don't have,
know.
did at any point we talk about having a maintenance, budget department?
Well, we're talking about,
You're-
I think building is within the
Building
budget
maintenance,
process.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I see building maintenance in like every department's budget, and I'm not sure why, but I think with the transition of the new system, there'll be more consolidation, but I think building maintenance from a town perspective, kind of like supplies is one of those things where
Yeah.
we can probably start to consolidate, so.
Yeah.
I think historically, every department has been very siloed, and it's not a lot of cohesive, not a lot of working together. And like you said, we get 10 different people going and buying paper from 10 different places, and
Yeah.
turns out you can buy it, at a state contract somewhere. And there's
I've decided to run for another term, so I
Oh.
need signatures from all of you. Sorry.
lots of potential on that.
Yes.
Collecting.
But I think maintenance too, way off top from historic, I've had conversations with different people, and some of the stuff I've tried to do that nobody's really pulling stuff together to say, you have a leak on your roof, who do you call? You just
Right.
open up the yellow book and start calling roofing contractors.
Well, even things like, where it's like the records room. I mean, historic has taken it on. It's a historic building, but shouldn't that have been,
Inventory,
yeah,
building,
right.
list.
It should be.
Right.
And then that should
Pick
be
up
done
on
by
your,
that.
But it's-
your inventory list and do something similar for our town buildings.
That's probably a
Yeah.
full-time job to manage all that stuff. I mean, the amount of work that's outstanding, just, you could be, it's overwhelming, because I know, we've tried to chip away just at little bits of it, and I think that's probably the direction we need to think about going, or finding a way to get that into somebody's job title.
Or reimagine
Right, or
the town operations.
it just, yeah. Because like you see, it's just simply not happening. I mean, you got doors that are falling off the hinges that the air goes right through, and
Well, and there's
every now and then
things-
something gets fixed, or finally somebody gets so fed up they get it fixed.
well,
But
there's things that the town owns
yeah,
that people have got in their garages that they're not, it's kind of, where is all this stuff? But there should be somebody with inventories and lists and so that you just know where everything is.
I do
don't
in my
get-
house.
Well,
but
look,
it's, open the door.
I mean, look at, just parks alone. I'm spending an overwhelming amount of my time just on our facilities and our equipment. And I think
probably-
other departments have a similar experience.
I'm sorry, I'm going to go down way off. I won't ask the question,
Oh,
but
we-
I'm curious how that is reflected in your budget.
Um,
Parks, I mean, it's going to be reviewed Wednesday, right?
Yeah. Well, that's something we're going to talk about is our need for a facility. And, we had tabled our request from last year because supposedly there's some study going on, but I've yet to
Well,
hear
the
anything about it.
facility, but I'd be curious to quantify how much time is being spent towards this. And quantifying an ROI on a building department,
Well, I think for parks specifically, our issue is really tending towards having another employee in charge of maintenance. So you can just say, hey, I need you to go do X today.
if I were, I won't be there Wednesday,
Yeah.
if I were there, I'd say, Dan, I don't need a solution, you can understand the facts.
Well, I guess that's the fact is we need more staffing
No,
for.
no, that's a solution. I'm serious. I'd
Yeah.
say, well, why? How much time are you spending out of your job or someone's?
And other people doing
Yeah,
out theirs,
I mean,
does it
I've
warrant
done-
that? Yeah,
We can't be anecdotal anymore, and we intend to get more efficient.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is nothing, it's way up.
Yeah, yeah.
The chair should just be saying, I appreciate your enthusiasm, Mr. Goddard, but bring it back
Right,
to the agenda at hand.
yeah.
Speaking of which, just kidding. I did want to add that when we first started talking about the window replacements here at the town hall, Lynn Spencer Associates,
Oh, yeah.
they
yeah.
were the ones that we kind of tabled them to go ahead with Armando. They do windows, and they've actually came out to bid on one project here at the town hall, I don't know how long ago, but very, very good firm. And then I had another gentleman out of Amesbury, maybe, also excellent recommendations, and these people are ready. So do we pass that along to either Kim or the engineer that, or she's
Well, I would
working
You
say-
with?
I
can,
would
my-
say to both, really, because he said that,
Yeah.
Windows, they would be overseeing the whole project, but they don't specialize in Windows, so
Right.
he would be subbing it out to somebody. So he would probably be, I would think, very appreciative to know these two people,
Yeah, yeah, all right.
as long
So-
as we don't end up paying like 10% on top of whatever they're going to charge us.
I
just
know,
so that's the
but-
only thing.
Well, at this point, my impression is that everything to do with the windows is being handled through that company and through Kim. So I would, I would pass that along, but
Yeah,
I think
pass it along,
at this point,
definitely, yeah.
I would assume they're handling it. And if it sounds like the intent maybe is to bring this forward for this spring, which, I would agree.
Yeah,
So, at least because the windows could, assuming, like you said, there's no other issues, could at least start the work on them, but they
Yeah.
got to have some estimates.
yeah. So I'll share the
So-
contact information,
Yeah,
because they need
Yeah,
three,
I think that's a good
correct?
idea. Yeah,
They need 3 quotes to compare and.
yeah,
Okay.
yep, yep.
Yeah, I don't know how that works internally when they sub that out, or if that engineering firm can bring on their own consulting internally. Because I think the result is you're going to have a formal RFP written that that's part of what we're paying this person to do for us.
Yeah.
And then that'll be when they'll actually quote the jobs.
All right, so
So
I didn't.
we definitely
realize
want,
you're on
want somebody to do
vacation
that
that
for us.
So the firm that she's hired to work on the back stairwell is also writing the RFP.
So I am assuming that the plan here is that is a architect design firm that's going to prepare all of the plans, designs, whatever, for the windows and everything. I would assume that she would then use them to write the RFP for the work. Now, I don't know exactly what's going on back here. That's another story. I don't know whether that will rise to the level of an RFP. The windows absolutely will,
Yeah,
because they're going to be
And I
100,000
think, wasn't
plus.
she, from the conversation which she had, she was doing windows and doors, I think, wasn't she?
Yeah, I think at least 2 of the doors need to be replaced. The
Okay.
2 side ones. I mean, I personally, I don't really understand what needs to change back here. That isn't a total waste of time and money, but whatever. It's a staircase. You know, the whole, I guess my understanding, this whole
I have no
project
idea.
was intended for the public to be up here and get funneled into these doors. So you can pull in, you go to the police station, you go downstairs, you go upstairs. The front door is kind of, you know, it's still the front door, but you're not going to really use it. It's just there for show. That's a fire escape. So you know, that said, it sounded like, I mean, I briefly talked to him. It sounds like there's definitely some work to be done. The elevator's kind of a death trap as it is, because it basically just pushes you down the stairs.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there's opportunity. I don't know. I guess it's not historic, so I don't really, I'm not concerning myself with it.
But it's not historic, but it's being attached to a historic building. It's part of a historic
Right.
building. So no, you can't just kind of do
Well,
whatever you
if it
want.
changes the exterior, it's going to have to go before the Historic
Yeah.
District Commission,
Yeah.
and they'll talk about it there.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's no longer you should consider that an entrance, not just a fire escape.
Right.
Based on the way the whole campus is being.
I mean,
designed,
yeah,
Right, right.
Low, you know?
It probably will get used a little more, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see what they come up with. I mean, the guy seemed to know what he was talking about. I think initially, you know, we thought he was just some, you know, commercial, whatever, but it sounds like they do, what did he say? His wife is on the Historic Commission
Yeah.
somewhere. It sounds like he does know historic
historic
stuff.
stuff, yeah,
So you know,
yeah.
So I did park in the back, come in through the basement, expecting to take the elevator up. But there's something funky with the elevator, so I ended up walking up here. But, so I'm trying to practice the new method of getting in and out of the building. I'll train anybody.
You think I'm going in that
I will
elevator?
train
I'm never
anybody who
going in
needs
there.
help getting in walking around the building.
yeah.
But it will be for a fee.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to be beautiful and it's all going to work out great, but it's just getting to that point of, you know, making sure that everybody who's affected kind of knows and has an input or even just given the opportunity to make a suggestion. You know, because sometimes the best ideas come out of somebody just sitting there saying, well, did you think about, and no one did.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, you're talking about spending huge sums of money, and it's got to just not fit in with the design. It's got to be
Yeah.
done.
Yep. Done.
All right.
How would you, what would your thoughts be around making sure that communication occurs? It sounds like, I wish you had that opportunity, not you, but you had the opportunity.
I think there should be a building committee, and I said it before and got
Think it should be
poo-pooed.
what, sorry?
I think there should be just like for this project, I think there needs to be some sort of an informal building committee that's overseeing these projects. You know, not taking away anybody's authority, but just getting more people involved. Because my impression is that the decisions get made very quietly and there's not a lot of input and nobody really knows what's going on, I guess I'll say.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, and I think.
You know, maybe that's a little extreme to have a formal committee, but just having some, like we had a group meeting for this campus project. We met, I think, every couple weeks, and then we went through the design, and it was an iterative
Which
process.
I think is what you do.
And everybody was in the loop, and certain
Yeah.
people didn't attend, and then they weren't in the loop, and no, fine, that's
Fine.
their choice. It just, I don't know, it seems like it's
I
big
think
enough, you know,
that's,
it's one thing if we're just changing a light bulb, but I think this is a pretty major work going on,
It's
and
huge. It's huge.
nobody really knows what's going on.
No, and you know, that's where I think you can get a lot of animosity and problems in a building. This is a small building, you can't afford to have that happen.
No.
But if you could maybe get like a small group of people together, I mean, at this point, this is the key point. Before these people go charging off and start coming up with 3D designs and models and everything, bring people in to say, you know, what do you think? What would be, you know, what would you like to see, or have you thought about? And I think it should, if it's going to happen, it should happen sooner than later. Because if this
I mean,
thing's,
I've heard some of these discussions take place, so I'm not surprised I'm hearing this, but I'm also know that these discussions have taken place to some extent, right?
yeah,
And
just once.
I think there should be some proactive engagement, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's,
I mean, it's, at this point, so we just turned the guy loose, so let him come back now with proposals, and then maybe there could be a follow-up meeting to say, all right, here's what we've got so far, here's what I'm thinking. I think that would be, like I said, it seems like we have that one meeting, and then we'll never hear another word, and then next thing you know, they'll be here with doing the work. And, and it'll be great, I don't fault the work that's being done, it just seems like that's it, and we never hear another word about it.
But as a historic commission, you want to be more actively aware,
Well, I think, yeah.
if you will.
I think from historic, we should be, I guess we don't necessarily have jurisdiction, but it seems like there should be some involvement, especially when you're completely renovating and making
This
decisions.
is why I'm here.
I don't know.
As this is the select board joining a meeting
Yeah.
on a somewhat regular basis, once in
Yep.
a while. So the question would be.
When you're not
is
on
there something
vacation,
you need-
like Lynn.
You'd want us to do.
Yeah.
See, this would be something I would think as a committee you would be. you'd
Well,
want that
well,
to
and I mean,
express to
it
select
was,
board.
it was, I mean, we did have one meeting, didn't we, with Kim came in and started talking about a few things,
I
but.
attended one with you.
Right.
Yeah,
you
that
just-
was here, and we've not heard
Reference
anything.
One that occurred recently.
Well, we did have a very good meeting with Kim,
We went,
and one of our, I guess I feel like as a general, the communication sucks. Nobody knows what's going on. We haven't had a staff meeting in 8 years.
Different topic.
But I think that's just say like, hey, this is the stuff going on, and somebody can say, well, gee, I'm really concerned about that wall. What are you doing? And they can say, oh, Dan's doing this. Oh, great, wonderful. I think because that doesn't happen, it builds, and then all of a sudden, everybody doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I think it just, again, I don't know. It just seems like nobody knows what's going on, and I don't know what the solution is.
Well, it should be, I do think that the people that are working in this building should maybe have more of an input into it. I mean, because otherwise you get you hear rumors or people complaining or whatever, and you don't, I mean, I come here twice a month, if that. So, but I do think that, I know one instance where somebody was just told their office is moving. And I think that that's a tough thing to kind of deal with. I think it's a very tough thing. Whereas if it's discussed at the beginning, and it's like if there's whatever's going to happen in the back here,
Yeah.
if people get to share in it, or at least feel that they're being heard, then I don't think that happens as much. If you involve people, it's 10 times better, rather than just coming in and all of a sudden your stuff's moved. That's not what we want, and that's not what I want in this town.
I mean, I think, so specifically for historic, I think it would be nice, if we could have some, plan on having some sort of another meeting when the gentleman has some proposals.
Yep.
I think that would be the next step here, is to say, all right, here's what we found out, we've got some ideas in the windows. I mean, here's what we're thinking in the back.
So maybe at this,
Whether that needs to be the full commission or whether that would make sense to create some sort of just an advisory group of people to keep informed. I don't know what the best, I mean, I suppose technically it's town building. It's
Yeah,
the select board's
yeah.
jurisdiction.
At a minimum, I would recommend this committee or commission just send an email to maybe the select board and say, as this project moves forward, we would like to be X, 3 or 4 bullets, whatever you're looking for, and it's like, we'd like to understand at this point. I mean, if I were getting something like that, I'd turn around and say, well, there should be some, checkpoints, right? Pre-scheduled. So Dan, to your point, if you can't make it, well, you can't make it, but
Right.
you knew it was happening.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying, but I mean, my point would be this, is send the select, if you want the select board to do something, I just send an email just saying, happy to see the project moving forward, excited.
Yeah.
The commission would like to just, at the beginning, state where we want to be involved,
Yeah.
and then let the select board and Kim and folks put a process in place
Yeah.
that, because your needs or your your ask is probably not going to be significantly different from other stakeholders, potentially, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. But I think
What-
we do.
yeah, and-
I think we definitely need to
Well, with the,
ensure that there is an input into what's happening and how it's going to look.
yeah, I mean, with the
Because
windows,
it's downstairs is modern, it's beautiful, it's going to be great, but this is an historic building. So where are we going to retain the historic features of the building? What are we going to do to make sure that that happens?
I think we're losing a little bit. I see a little bit more contemporary transition, and it makes me want to, say, can we maybe rethink, how this is rolling out? Because,
Yeah.
you're asking people to, exert their energy, and
Yeah.
if you're not happy with the outcome,
Right.
or, it would be nice to decide things up
Well,
front.
that's one of the problems is now you have a situation where you've already moved forward. So you can't always say, well, wait a minute, whoa, what, there's already, a lot already
Yeah.
done. What you don't want to do now is have like all new windows and do something up here that doesn't gel with what's downstairs, and a whole back area that's going to be different again, because we've gone back to a mishmash of a bit of everything, So, yeah, I mean, I don't see the harm in saying, let's now at this point, if we're going to do this back here, let's look at ways of retaining some of the historical integrity of this building. Yes.
I might suggest don't look to, let's try and say, I would ask, how are we retaining the historical integrity of the building? Because that would be your focus, right?
Yeah.
It might even be worth asking to get on the agenda, on the select board agenda that's coming up.
That's a good idea.
they did, by the way, they did post us for historic for the budget, even though we don't really have a budget discussion, but she must have just put all the departments. So you are,
Just ask for $1 million.
Yeah.
We'll be all set.
we just re-upped the same request, but, I mean, yeah, I think with the windows, specifically the CPA is going to need to ultimately approve that.
And that's coming.
And
out
I
of
think the
historic,
CPA is going to
yeah.
look for a recommendation from historic that they
Right.
are in approval, so relative to that work.
Right.
The work in the building isn't being done with CPA funds, but to your point, I mean, I've said, I'd
yeah.
rather see us spend a little extra money to restore things. And I do think, Dan, from what I've seen, it seems like ultimately that's getting done. It just would be nice to know it up front that that's the plan, or I don't know, it seems like it changes.
No, I do believe that the work that Dan is doing is absolutely
Yeah.
perfect. It's just, there are some cues, and I know this is going to sound a little weird, but color
Yeah.
is very significant,
Hmm.
in an old building. And when you are repeating and like washing it through every level, I think it does something to the space that pulls away from the historic character.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's good in some places, it's not so good in other places. On the floor, the first floor, you have a lot of reflective sunlight. You got to kind of really think about, what's your
Yeah,
color
and I
theory.
mean, I think that's what I was trying to get at with this, is it's a case of, workers, if there was a group, doesn't have to be headed by anybody. Somebody ultimately is going to be, putting the work out there, but you need a group of people because it has to be a group decision on all of this, because otherwise people are just going to get mad. And why destroy, spending a ton of money and destroy what could be beautiful work just because people weren't consulted? And people, hey, trust me, I've just had a week of it in England. People don't get consulted. They get, not keen on doing things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it would be a good idea to just sit and maybe, let the select board know what's going on, talk with Kim, talk with Dan, talk with whoever, and just have a sit down together and just say, hey, look, we all want this to be a showplace, and we all want this to be successful. And we're going and we're getting a lot of money to do this, let's make sure we only need to do it one time.
Right.
And let's make sure that everybody involved is going to be happy with it. The problem is, you do know what the problem is, don't you? That we are getting Historic back involved in another project that we kind of kicked off because that, is it really us that should be doing that, or should it be maintenance?
Well, you know what, I don't,
Why,
Really not.
I think our job is an advisory,
Right.
Advisory.
just, you know,
Yeah.
at high level.
All the work is this contractor and Kim and that, you successfully moved the windows. I was really proud of you, Kathy, at the CPC meeting. I said, oh, you rolled into that project, good for you. But I think advisory is, you don't want to, that shouldn't be heavy lifting, that should,
right,
Hopefully,
exactly,
it's a-
exactly.
excellent.
Yeah, yeah. Like downstairs in the hallway, take an example. So we see in each of the, downstairs and up here, we've got a chair rail and,
Yeah.
we've got, a treatment, which maybe is something we want to repeat in the hallways downstairs.
Right. Yeah.
Just to keep it consistent, and you could bring in natural wood if you
Yep.
wanted to kind of give it that more antique feel, or whitewash it, but there's a lot of white in this building.
I know. That's just so it keeps your eyes open.
It's the curse of having an art background, so, yeah.
Colorblind.
Yeah.
That whole conversation. Deal with color, come on.
Yeah, we need to get you some color glasses so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so with that being said, we'll approach the Board of Selectmen?
Yeah, I think so.
about
We can put
kind of
together, let's put
rolling
together
in?
an email and, send it to the select board and then just, see where we go from there, I think.
Right.
But I think we should, if you identify somebody, which Kim already has, to do some of the work, now we are rolling forward. Let's make sure that everything is being covered and everybody's doing
yeah.
what needs to be done.
And I would send those, references and stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And say,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
if these are of interest, here's some more people that might be able to help with this project.
All right.
Okay.
And when you talk about references, even if we get an answer as to why maybe a certain vendor may not be appropriate, so we have an answer for people asking those questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, either that or maybe that gentleman, Ryan, can attend a meeting too, because he was very knowledgeable about, explaining what the different options were and.
Yeah.
Because part of the thing too, and I think this goes back to the CPA discussion, is it's what the state will allow. And so maybe we could pin that. I mean, when I talked to him, it sounded like they were less concerned about the specific material, but they are going to want something that looks historic and
Right.
matches, what would have been on this building.
Which, in all honesty, if you look at, I think I pulled the 1910 photograph of the building, wasn't that old, it was 6/6, so,
I see. I sent him everything that I had, and
yeah.
so if you have others, we got to find that picture of Henry Clough washing the dishes,
Oh,
which I know I have, and I can't find it.
I got it,
And if you have other pictures of the inside,
yeah.
he was looking for that.
Okay, let's move on to 4C, which is cemeteries. Did we have anything new?
I couldn't meet with Janice because of COVID, so
Right.
I dropped off a book to Janice. Go ahead, Janice.
Do we have anything new for cemeteries, or have we kind of
No.
moved that towards the spring?
Agenda, please.
Yeah, now we've got that new newspaper, maybe we can put a little article together, Janice.
Yeah, I just couldn't figure out find the paper,
Okay,
but now I.
Janice, I'll send you the contact information, I have it.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So
We should probably
I still think we should sit down and,
vote though, or something.
I'll get all the documents and the deeds and the plans together so you can lay out each cemetery. And Dan, you're going to get a copy as well to put up
If
on the
you-
website.
Yeah, if you send me everything you have, and then I can go through and we can make sure we, 'cause I think we've got a good list of the ones we care about for now, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So the
And we can
one,
literally have a meeting, with people from outside. who
And we
are
have some
interested.
people already too.
I know we've
so,
got some, but
Yeah,
we
it'd be
need
good to
more.
write up like you said, write up an article and
Yeah,
schedule a meeting to
yeah, I
talk
think.
through what we're
I
thinking
think
about.
as soon as spring, as spring is coming, this is a good time to really
Oh,
move
yeah.
forward with this.
yeah.
Okay.
So Janice, the one thing that we're going to work on, or you're going to work on maybe, is chapter 114 in the Mass General Laws. We need to find out what happens to a cemetery that has been excluded from a deed and never picked up
So-
after that. So it's not designated ownership and the family is deceased.
We should write that up and send, that's something we could write up and ask Kim to forward to council to review.
Okay, so go through town council. All right, we
I mean,
got
I
we
usually-
got a shortcut.
I usually go through Kim on that. I mean, I don't know what the rule are. I was always told everything goes through Kim and the select board. Don't call the lawyer yourself because it's expensive.
All right,
But I think, because I know it's like Cindy was a huge help last time. So I think
Yeah.
if you can write up like what the specific question is and just say, can we forward this and have her advise us?
That would
Yeah,
be a
Because
good
we can't be
idea.
the first town with that problem.
because I emailed, mass.gov
Yeah.
and I didn't get any response. But, we've got probably 3 or 4
Yeah.
cemeteries that, when the deed, transferred, that cemetery was isolated.
Some of them, like the Taft Lamont one, or Lamont, which really is Taft, I believe that is still owned by Taft. It was basically carved off the lot and then they sold off the house lot.
Right, right.
Going forward.
So the idea is at
that the one
what
on Millville?
stage?
The one on down by 160 Millville. So at that one, I have I have a deed that includes it. So it basically whoever's the long lost heirs of that deed, it's theirs now. I do know I'll find
Is
it.
there not like after a certain
No.
amount of time?
Well, so there's a,
If you take over and you're like mowing the grass and taking care of it and everything, does it not revert to the town?
no, there's a law that allows the town to take over the maintenance on an abandoned cemetery. And we asked, I think Cindy or maybe even Brandon way before. And what we were told was that it's very vague and there's no case law to really define it. But I think the reading was, you'd be fine to go and mow it. But if you were, talking about major work, you'd have to really understand, potential liabilities.
Right.
Well, that's the one where somebody did go in and clean a couple of stones, didn't they?
No, you're thinking of Pine Hill.
No, no, I'm not. I'm thinking of the one on.
Well, Taft Lamothe is one where they're basically somebody who lived there buried someone
I
there
think there were 2.
and not really, and not that they did anything wrong. It was there, but how would they know?
So much easier to
this is
roll the
gonna be-
body down the driveway.
Oh, gosh.
Jesus,
Sorry, that was gross.
don't say that. On the,
It's been a long meeting, obviously,
You know,
hasn't it?
yeah, it's way past my bedtime.
but I think there's a few like that are, like you said, it's
But I
just kind of,
think,
they were excluded from the deeds and who the
Yeah.
heck knows where they are now, and you probably have to do deed searches and title searches
But I
and,
Yeah,
think
well,
as
I
we're
did all the
moving
deed
forward on
searches.
some of these other projects, this is going to be a good time for us to really get stuck into the cemeteries and excuse
I can
me, I'm
find it.
saying it. You know what I mean? Not stuck into the cemeteries. but
Buried in
Yeah,
cemetery
I'm not
work.
gonna- I don't want to be stuck into any cemeteries right now. But, I think that spring coming up, maybe we can talk with Mancucci's again.
Yep.
We can get other people in. We've got stuff. We can actually do something and let's get this project rolling
Yep.
this year. And so we can
Revive it. All right.
revive it, get it going. Okay.
All right, so Janice, we will get together in the next week or two, and we'll get all this stuff ironed out.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
I'm available.
Excellent. She's, yeah, that'd be
for a
great.
while. We can all kind of do something together.
That would be super.
All right, next meeting date, everybody.
oh, I found it. It's from Brandon Moss. I'll send it to you. Says, there are no published decisions interpreting this statute, nor is there any definition of the terms abandoned or neglected. And he had a whole bunch of legal stuff. It might be this, it might be that. There's no formal process. I recommend this. I'll send it to you.
Will you send that? And
Yeah.
you know what, Dan, I also got Ruth O'Grady sent me a letter that was drafted, submitted to the Board of Selectmen, asking that the town take over Swandale Cemetery. No, not Swandale.
Probably Quaker.
Ruth, which one?
George.
Quaker.
George, it's George. But I think it was the maintenance, because the town has never assumed legal ownership of that land.
Right, well, I will share that letter, and maybe I will also.
I might
share
have it,
with
actually.
Town council and
Yeah.
the cemetery association might have to come back. She just said that they had submitted it and they didn't get a response from the Board
Oh,
of
maybe,
Selectmen.
yeah, maybe this was later than what I hear. I have some info on it. If you want to give me a second, I'll look. I think there's potentially an argument that this town might consider creating a cemetery commission. So you have a group of people to focus on that. The problem is, are you going to get the people that actually want to get involved?
Yeah.
I don't
think
know.
you're gonna
I
get
don't see
people
why
that wanna
not.
do- Yeah, I think you would.
We had gotten
You know.
such good, feedback about, going down to Clean Bicknell. I think we're going to get that.
Plus,
Would just be like
and the money.
if you had like one person would be, overseeing
Here we
the
go.
whole thing might be heavy going. But
This is-
once you've got everybody, like a trustee or whatever for each cemetery, then it becomes easy.
Yeah.
Was this later? I have one from 2006 that they asked the town, they basically said the trust fund ran out, all the graves there are old, and they're asking the town for Locust Hill and George to take over maintenance, and I think that's how Parks ended up mowing them,
Okay.
but we don't
All
own them.
Mm.
Which, is what it is. They're kind of just, they're not active anymore, although I think there are
But
still
if it's
plots
but-
open
but
in George that
if we
people
can
own.
get somebody who is active in that cemetery or was in
Yeah.
that cemetery or whatever, in the town. Cleaning the stones could be considered maintenance. Repairing stones is maintenance.
Well, so, yeah, people, really, it's a labor of love. It's somebody that wants to go spend, a Saturday and pick up brush,
Right.
and stuff. Parks certainly needs to be able to do more, and that's something we'll work on. But there's tons of project work that I think is beyond just mowing the grass.
Yeah.
That would be great for this program to take over. And I think it can be done, I don't think we have to go crazy with tax takings and whatever.
No, I don't think so.
I think we can, that's stuff that can just be done.
All right. Look at your calendars.
I have
Do
no-
we know now what is happening with days of the week?
Meeting dates.
So planning is now the 1st and the 3rd, or whatever,
Planning is
what were
first.
we?
We were third.
So they wanted, so they're the 1st and the 3rd, Monday. But they're
Alright.
probably not meeting on the 20th.
So Mike, that was one of the things we talked about at the last meeting, is that everything seems to be shifting. So it's very hard to be consistent in your meeting dates and very hard for people to
But this is all
respond.
straightened out. Like, I thought I screwed it up last summer when I asked the select board to move theirs, but we stayed on Wednesday.
You probably did.
I was gonna sense, and I've been putting it off,
The blame.
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful if there was some, again, direction from the select board of, at this point now, all these boards really should have a regular date. There should never be 2 hearings on the same night.
Right.
There really shouldn't be 2 boards on the same night. Like some random, like the Parks Commission is not made, but planning or conservation and ZBA shouldn't meet on the same night. And I think that's been fixed now. Part of that is because staffing turnover and nobody really knows what's going on, so they just post a meeting. But I think some direction as to that effect of like, we're so close to having a schedule.
Yeah,
And actually, the one that's outstanding is Select Board and Board of Health that are now conflicting. You're on the same 1st and 3rd Wednesday.
So first and third Wednesday.
And I think
for
it's,
select-
So
I think it's just because one board picked a night and didn't talk to the other board or didn't, I don't know. And it's not the end of the world, but it would be nice if that could all be
So the
separated
select
out.
board is no longer on a Monday?
Select Board's been on Wednesdays forever
Right,
now.
so,
I would prefer to be on Monday, but that didn't go over well.
I'm all for that too.
well, can we,
I'll make it.
what about if planning is first and third Monday, can we go back to the second Monday?
I thought that's what we had said, second Monday. That's what tonight is.
And we're not interrupting any other meetings.
No, nobody else is on Mondays.
Okay, so
So we are, all right, so,
And district hasn't made up their mind yet, but
well, that shouldn't really affect us.
they're on their own.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Well, sometimes it's nice. It was nice to have them at 6 and 7 because then it was easy to do combined meetings when we needed to. Let me see what she said. She did just.
All right,
add
well, we'll
something.
do Historical Commission,
13.
All right, so
7 PM on the second Monday.
So the 13th of March.
I like that.
Um,
Because why have I even got it on the 14th of March? Is there a reason?
you already have it down?
I have one down, I have a meeting on Tuesday, March 14th for historical.
that may have been a night at one point.
I don't know why.
I don't know.
All right, so we'll do the second Monday. Janice, does that work for you, second Monday of every month?
Yes.
Okay, good. And
The f-
I will let Connie know.
The first Tuesday is CPA, so maybe that's what you have.
Tuesday, we're a Monday.
Well, no, I'm just saying if you had them Tuesday, that's why it might be on your calendar. But
I have that as the first
yeah,
one, yeah. Okay. All right, so second Monday.
because
And if anybody wants to change it, I'm going to be mad.
well, I think so. Planning is first and third Monday. CPA is first Tuesday. Land use is second Tuesday. Historic is now third Monday. Water's the first Thursday. Concom's the second and fourth
Historic is the
Thursday.
second Monday,
And then
not the third Monday.
oh yeah, I said second. And then Parks doesn't. We meet in daytime.
Okay.
ZBA I think is going to pick the third Thursday. So it's like we're so close. It's really just Board of Health and Select Board that are overlapping now in
Okay.
terms of the big ones. And then there's other groups that just meet whenever.
All right, I'm good with that.
I mean, for us, that works really good when you have to set hearings and you know what's up front.
Well, yeah, it's especially when if we do have to set hearings and things. All right. Do we have any items not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of the meeting? What's that?
Oh, that,
Mendon, Massachusetts, 1667 to 1967. So this publication was done for the 300th anniversary. And I would like to see if we can research, do some updating, and republish it for the town.
but
Oh,
is that perhaps something that would be better done by the society who could then keep the revenue?
I will ask, but I'm just, I'm feeling like, we get a lot of people that come into town that know nothing about the town, but want to know about the town.
well, this could be part of that welcome package that we could take select pages out.
Right,
Put
right.
that in part of that welcome.
I'm all for it. I think,
Good idea.
if we did it, so you'd have to cover your costs. It would, let's say the thing costs $20 to print, you could sell them for $30, you make $10 a book, but there's no point in us making money because it's just going to go to the general
Right, right. I
fund,
mean, I don't think it would be,
you know?
Nothing wrong with money going to the general fund, Dan. That's how you expand services.
Yeah, but the society needs revenue though.
Well, that's a different, I mean, I
They-
just want to,
yeah.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's not our problem, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to do the work, then I suppose.
Yeah, the reason that I didn't think about the society
Right.
directly is that they're already working on historic homes.
Right.
And Dick Grady and John Trainer kind of have their own take on how they would like to tell the history of Mendon. This is very fact-based.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so-
it wasn't, it wasn't copyrighted or anything. I mean, it was produced by the town, but probably by committee. It is stapled.
I think I have the manuscript for that from Sharon.
Do you really?
I'll like a
I bet you do.
a Word
I
doc.
bet you do.
I'll
So
look
I'll
for
do a little investigating because I just think it would be nice to have copies in the town hall for people to,
Well, it absolutely would be nice to reprint it and update some pictures, incorporate, really incorporate the next 50 years of history.
Right, right. And now that we've got the master plan rolling, I think, it would be nice to maybe include, Mendon.
Yeah. Well, you might be able to siphon off somebody from that group that might be interested in this project too. Like I'm thinking Lisa.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
She's good when you get her. Is that yours or did you?
I got that.
Borrow from the,
I got that on eBay yesterday.
oh, really?
I ordered it. It's water damaged. No big deal. I
Should
didn't
look
want to.
again, because I haven't,
You
I
just
bought,
gave somebody in town $100 for a book.
No. I only
It was
gave, I
only
only
like 10
spared
bucks.
$8, and the gentleman who owned it lived in Hopedale, so he actually drove it to my house.
Oh, no, really? Oh, that's
It
funny.
was very sweet.
I haven't looked in a
So
while. I
I
bought
just
a
wanted to
copy of the
read it.
Annals once it was $100 on Amazon.
Oh, no kidding. I mean, if you go to Amazon to get this, it's
Well, and it's
$49.
the thing, so those are fakes. They're like reprints.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Same with the Annals.
Because we
It's a-
don't have any copyright issues
think
with
this
it,
is very
anybody
cool.
could reprint
Yeah.
it. But it might be nice to, get a group together that can, bring it
Well, we
into
could
the
definitely update
21st
this.
century.
The selectmen offered a bounty of 20 shillings to any inhabitant who should kill a wolf within the bounds of the town. You could go after coyotes and
I'm
give them
not-
$10 a pop.
I'm not sure we
We
should
can update
exclude that at
I
this
think we should
point,
update
right?
it.
I think there's a lot, and really a lot of it, you can just re-release the history and just add in more.
Right.
I mean,
right.
that's
This
what,
is
like what I was
what-
doing with the master plan and realizing like we don't have a comprehensive history. Like, what is the history of the school department? What is the
Right.
history of the highway department? And we should talk to the schools because that would be a good project to like, they can do the research and then just somebody can clean it up. But we don't have, what is the history of the senior center?
Right, yeah, exactly.
You
I mean,
know,
I worked with Ann to
when
do
was
the
it built?
history of the campus
Yeah.
for the grant, and, it's in their literature, but it would be really nice to have, like, today I was hoping to have something ready, like a trifold for Jake, just so that, they could see Mendon yesterday and Mendon today, and, kind of all the progress and the work that we've done, and, I mean, I think, yeah, the more you look around after years and years and years of planning and thinking, and things are starting to fall into place, and, buildings are getting painted and
This is
sidewalks are
awesome.
coming in.
Yeah, I think I have it in my office. I'm
What a
pretty sure it
great
belongs to
book.
John Dudley though.
And the police station, I mean, I think it's a lot to brag about.
Well, yeah, like there's that history of the fire department that I think Buddy wrote or transcribed from stuff, but like, let's do one at the police station and sit down with those guys.
I have some great photographs of the fire department when they first started in that rickety little building that
Yeah.
was over there, and
Yeah.
the roof
Oh,
is
send 'em-
caving in, and the guys were all out in front.
Send them to the chief because he'll put them on the Facebook page.
Well, yeah, but I was hoping to maybe give him a plaque with, the
Yeah.
very first fire station.
That would be very cool,
The
wouldn't it?
falling fire station, and now what they're
Well, I think they're
doing.
back
And
up in the
same
new
with-
station. They have they had all the pictures of the chiefs.
Yes, yep.
They had a lot of stuff on their walls.
And of
Okay,
course,
well, I like that idea. Let's follow
I
up
like
with
to
that.
also decorate the whole town hall with old photographs and.
When we met with Kim, I think she was on board with that too. I mean, if you could pick spots and you can rotate through, because the society has all those paintings and all that stuff. Every month you could just come swap them all out.
That would be so nice.
There's tons of that. Under the 48 hours too, do you want to talk about the email you sent for the plaque for next door?
You know what, we can
Sure.
talk about it when we go over the meeting minutes. I mean, just
Okay.
wanted to give you a chance to read it and see how we did the one for this building, and, we do have a very nice portrait of Rosa Taft, and
Oh,
there's
good.
also a really nice one of
Lovely.
Susan Houston, which is up at the library, which we might be able to get scanned. So I don't know if you want to incorporate it in the plaque. But look at the different pictures of the library at
Yeah.
different stages and see what you think. Which one speaks.
Because I think that would be nice to have a matching thing on the front of that building.
Yeah, oh, I agree.
Was there a bell up there?
There was a bell.
So where did it go? Did they take it to the church in
It's
Hopedale?
probably in somebody's garage.
Those are valuable. Thousands and thousands of dollars. But there were two
Yeah.
churches, apparently the church, and I learned this, the church in Hopedale burned in like and they rebuilt it.
That's right, yeah.
And they have a relationship with the Unitarian Church in Hopedale, and they have a they alternate on Thanksgiving as like a thank you for letting them use the space when they rebuilt, because I've been getting hired to play over there. But so that is the congregation that left here. They joined with the one in Hopedale.
Oh, no kidding.
I think it's still the Hopedale Union Church.
Yeah, I think it is too.
But there were two. Apparently, who explained it to me? That was like the up and coming thing. So they all sprang up, and then they must not have been able to keep it going in Mendon, and that's why this closed.
All right, shall we wrap it?
Let's wrap it.
All right,
I have a motion to adjourn at 8:43.
so moved.
All right.
We're done.